Hello everybody, this is a Lamley showcase. First look at the very first mix of Boulevard in 2026. I have no idea what happened to the last mix of 2025. I assume we'll see that at some point. I haven't seen it at all. No evidence of people finding it. But that's a story for another time because we have the first mix. Mattel sent it. We'll call it Mix 1. There might be a technical letter code, might be F, but because that's what the case that it came in. But ultimately, it is the first mix of 2026, and that was what we are most concerned with. This is, what do they call it? A banger. This set is loaded. There's some great stuff in here. I think the two in front have been the most talked about models, to be honest, so we'll get to those last. I'll move those over here. And let's talk about these next three. We're not going to do it in numerical order. That's the first one of the set. That's the last one, and everything else is in the middle. In fact, let's just start with that first one. If you have to pick a peg warmer, you don't want to. It's always said. But I think it's probably going to be this one, if anything. But I know there will be some excitement among many of you, including me, for the 1978 Dodge Lil Red Express truck. There's the Boulevard art. It is different. I don't have an older mix for me or an older one to look at, but they did change the art for 2026. I think they do that every year for Boulevard. This one has a little bit of a beach motif. And as I always say, in case this is kind of like if Hot Wheels were its own planet, cars that are friends of the brand, cars that are kind of cool, kind of fit designers' cars. It's just kind of like, it's kind of a blurry lined universe, Hot Wheels universe, and these always go in just cool cars, really, in these mixes. So this is with a client, right? I would say a licensor, VP. And we've seen VP on Team Transport, a couple of car culture cars, and now we get it in Boulevard on the Dodge Lil Red Express. I'll show you the back. There are all 5 models. There is that. I know that some people have this, and so I'm assuming we'll see it in stores. I just hope we see that other mix first, but let's go ahead and preview it. We'll kind of get into this just a little bit. Dodge Lil Red Express, this casting started as a basic in several years ago, quite a bit. And in fact, then it got moved to premium. I only have the premium models in my collection. By the way, it's glove season, which means it's probably model dropping season. So I hope I'm not going to, well, we'll just do the best we can. The Lil Red Express, real truck, 1978, obviously. And this had certain specs. It was a factory produced truck by Dodge. It had these big rig exhausts on it. And it was only produced, and it had this logo on the door too, only produced in red, in this color red, I think for a couple years, right? So I think it's kind of cool that Hot Wheels did it for basic. Then they just had to get creative on everything ever since. So this was the 4th premium release, if I remember correctly. Maybe there's a couple I'm missing from pop culture, but this was done in the anniversary set as the actual Lil Red Express. So that's the one you definitely want. I know that it was released in shell livery. I think you just kind of have to kind of go in a different direction. I really do like this one. This one is in pop culture in the shell livery, nice and clean, kind of retro looking for a retro truck. I think that one is very nice. And then, a few years ago, right, in the diorama set, we did actually get the Lil Red Express, but done as Midnight Express truck. Now, I think when I did this, I think this actually, if I'm remembering correctly, was it produced as, later on as a Midnight Express? Is this an actual deco? I don't remember. I know I looked into that back then. I'll have to do that again to look. But yeah, this one was done and with this kind of wood paneling, which is kind of cool. I don't know if the Lil Red Express had this, but the wood paneling in the back, which is nice. So that one was done for the truck one, and now we have this one. So similar to the pop culture shell model done with a licensor, kind of almost like a shop truck, right? So let's go ahead and open this one up best we can with the gloves on. It is absolutely freezing, so I'm gonna do the best we can. Oh, and I keep opening from the top, but we'll do the best we can. Sometimes I open them from the bottom just so I can actually, if I need to take photographs, it's easier, but I've got another set carded, so maybe I'm okay in doing that. Here it is. Okay, so this is the first time we had mag wheels, the first time, and then a version of the mag wheels on the black one. The mag reel riders, which I really like in this one. So this one gets more of the muscly 5-spokes, but it does look good with the chrome lips. VP deco is nice. Keep it simple. Maybe it's a little modernized for the era of this truck, but it is simple enough that I think it looks good. Red roof, white body, blue and red trim, VP logo. Simple enough for me to definitely be excited about it. I collect all the Boulevards, so even if I didn't like it, it's going in the set. But If there is a weak link, it's this one, although I still think it's very cool. But, you know, you always try whether you like a model or not. And sometimes my favorite model is the biggest peg warmer, and I know that's probably happened to you too. This one may be it, but this is not my favorite model. I will just say that. It's a nice one. There's your little family of that. We'll get rid of these, and let's go on to the next one. Move that over here just for now. Why don't we go, since we have two new models and then this BMW that I think will be the must-have of this set. But let's talk about this one. I say favorites. This is one of my favorite castings, the Nissan 300ZX Twin Turbo, Dima's design from several years ago. Another one that started as a basic and has now moved into premium for several years, right? And love this one in the RSR. Drift, right? Drift logo, but this would be almost like a promo car, I guess. I don't know. But a very cool, like friend of the brand. Once again, is what you're getting with this one. I could pull out the basics of this one. I don't have a full collection of this casting, only because, well, I don't know. I just don't. There's too many versions, and I like them. I like the clean version. So if I pull these out, so I have premium. I think this is the third. If I'm forgetting one, I apologize. But the other two did come from Car Culture. I can't even remember the mix, but obviously got this nice clean one in yellow. I've been talking about the wheels, and I've been showing the wheels of the plastic rims versus, you know, the plastic rim look of some premium, and how well, I mean, let me just a little preview from where we're going to get. Like, that looks a little too plasticky. And then I've noticed that in some of like the premium, like RLC models or something, you're getting a little bit of like a dulled metal look, which looks so much better, less plasticky. And then I said, I wish they could do that on Car Culture. And I pulled this out, and I actually realized they did do it on that one, on this Z from that mix several years ago. And I don't know if it's just too expensive to do, but I just hope they can continue to, you know, we'll talk about it later, and I'll have this discussion more and more in these videos. But if there is a way for Mattel to kind of give that, you know, more metallic look, even it doesn't have to be chrome, I just wish they would. That's a little bit of a tangent. I apologize. People say, hey, John, you got to tell Mattel you have a relationship. I do. You got to tell Mattel to do this and to do that. I do. But again, if you think that they're going to do it because I tell them, you think I have way too much authority. And a lot of times when I say, hey, if we could, it would be cool if we could do more metallic looking rims, typically with the people I talk to, the designers and even marketing, they're like, yeah, we wish we could. The factory fights this and this, and, you know, I don't know. It's just like, just so you know, like, a lot of times they see comments, they know, and they want it too. Like, they're collectors as well. I just so you know. But I do relay messages. I do, and a lot of times they see them anyway. Anyway, I've talked way too much about that car from a previous mix, and then here is the other one from another Car Culture mix. So this is maybe the original Ronin run this was in the maroon red with the black rims. My favorite of this casting remains the first edition basic in white with the PR5s. The Super Treasure Hunt in blue with the chrome 6 spokes is really nice. I'm looking forward to more versions. I guess I could have pulled out the racing car from Team Transport and Silhouettes, but we'll stick to this casting. Anyway, this one does look nice, and I'm happy with these wheels on it. So let's open this one. Okay, can I go bottom? You know, with the gloves, it's easier, and since I have the other cards, we're just gonna stay here. Just get rid of them as we go. All right, so we've got this silver look RSR trim, and then those wheels, I don't know, a light bronze color, but they do, you know, when they play with the colors, they don't look as plasticky. Those don't look bad at all in my view. Maybe they could be slightly more metallic looking, but I think the color works here. Let's get it on the turntable. A real simple design, and I'm happy with that. Sometimes the Boulevard, you know, they have to work through that, and I'm just happy to have this one super clean. That's how I like this casting, and I've mentioned it. There are certain cars that kind of represent certain eras of my being a fan of a car. 300ZX was definitely my early 90s favorite. I've talked about the IS300 Lexus. I've talked about the Honda Prelude. Different cars that have kind of taken my attention. I think if I'm obsessed with any brand right now, it's Mercedes-Benz, but, you know, but I'll always have a soft spot for that Z. All right. Stayed too long on that one. I kind of just pulled out those two premium just so we could have a quick discussion, but what are we going to do? All right, let's talk about the 4Runner. This is the first, there's two new models, the Pontiac Firebird and the Toyota 4Runner. And really cool. We had Rob Mathis on in one of our sneak peek videos talking about this casting. He did it. He's done several of the Toyotas. He did the Toyota, was it the Tacoma that was released in Boulevard a couple mixes ago. And he also did this 1993 Toyota 4Runner. Nice to see this era represented of the 4Runner. We've had some of the early ones, and we've obviously had the more modern one. I brought the first edition of that, which came in Boulevard several years ago in white, and this has been a very popular casting ever since, which actually surprised me. I didn't expect it to be as popular among collectors as it is. It's really well done casting. Obviously, the 4Runners now there's a new generation of 4Runner, but this one is very, very nice, and it's a very nice lifted casting. Then we had, I think that's, we've had some other 4Runners. I mean, am I missing something? I keep thinking, but I know Matchbox did one. Are we going to see another 4Runner? Have we already seen one and I'm just totally forgetting it? I have no idea. But getting this 90s era 4Runner is a really happy one. One thing I love about this is you getting that kind of 90s. You could do a whole deco on the side of this, but you're getting a little bit of that. The Toyota was putting on all their 4Runners, some sort of striping. And this one has that. Well, we get a better view if we open it, right? So let's just go ahead and open it up. Really, really well done casting, to be sure. I love the color. Obviously, it's more lifted than a factory 4Runner, but still looks pretty good. I mean, you can put smaller wheels on that, and they've got that new kind of mag off-road wheel, which is a more factory level. They put on the Bronco that's just come out, and they put on the Land Cruiser that was in that recent diorama. I bet I could see that on this 4Runner. But yeah, you got to put the stripes on it. And I like the stripes in the back. I like the stripe moving, how it kind of changes from the front to the back. And I think that's really, really well done. Very appropriate for this era. If they do a white one, just put several stripes on. I remember these 4Runners back in the 90s. There were very few that looked plain on the side. They all had stripes. So I really like this one. Rob Mathis did a beautiful job, 93 SR5 on the license plate. The way they were, because he's working with premium, you've got the metal chassis, but he was able to add that chrome trim that wraps all the way around the back bumper, front grille, and then the side over the wheels. It's just beautifully done. And we'll always have that brake, which I think is perfect for that era of car. So the 4Runner, that's all I got for the 4Runner, but that one is really nice. Clouds are dark. Dark, dark, dark. All right. I like all of these, but I'm going to have to say these two to me are the highlights, and for two very, very different reasons. So let's talk about the Pontiac Firebird. Brendan Viteski, you probably, if you know Hot Wheels, you know Hot Wheels designers, even though Brendan works mostly in RLC and he's now overseen a lot of the basic designs as well, mainline designs. You see a Pontiac Firebird, you're going to assume that it was Brendan who did it, and that is true. He did do this casting. He's talked about it in some of the sneak peek videos we've done. This is what it's called, the WS6, right? And the WS6, this is one of the things I love about collecting Hot Wheels. So I'll tell you right now, I think all of us that have collected for years, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, a lot of us went down a JDM rabbit hole once we started seeing Skylines and Laurels and other things released in the Hot Wheels line. We may not admit it now, but we know a lot of us did. I did. And I knew I loved my Hondas, I loved my Nissan 300ZXs, but I didn't know too much about what was going on in Japan. And I sure learned through a lot of these castings. And then same thing with a lot of muscle cars, a lot of race cars, my new obsession with funny cars, like all kind of started here. And I obviously was around for the 2002 Pontiac Firebird, and I have never enjoyed this car, this look. I was never a big Camaro, Mustang, later Challenger guy. I think I like the new Challenger design. But anyway, I digress. This is very much a 90s, early 2000s design, right? This kind of, a lot of wavy lines, almost to a fault, almost extreme, right? And that was the same. I wasn't a big Fox body fan. And, we had we had the SVT just released in RLC. That body style I hated. And over time, I think I didn't have to buy it. And then I can appreciate those. And there were so many of you guys who are such fans of this. And when we've seen this previewed, seen the comments, just made me excited about this car as well. And I'm very excited to have this model style, whether it's Camaro or Firebird, this is obviously the Firebird, in the collection. So thanks everybody. Thanks Brendan for your passion, and thanks all of you for making me go, yeah, I can appreciate this car. I'd never buy it, but I can sure appreciate it. I did pull out real quickly some Firebirds, and this is a hodgepodge. There's been a lot of Pontiacs. If you stay focused on the Firebird, I pulled out a couple from my collection. I don't have a ton, right? But if we're going back, obviously before this one was in Boulevard. I think this one was originally in the Modern Classics line that Junamai did. He did this design. This Firebird's been done in other castings before, but this one moved to Boulevard, the original Boulevard, several years ago, 2012 or 13. Obviously, in the black with the gold trim is just the way to go with that car. So we had that one. It was released later, a little bit more modernized for Fast and Furious. Some of the designs were cool. I actually like the more modern rims on that one. I think I'd like that one better than that one. Just recently in Boulevard, we got that same casting in white with the Rising Phoenix, right? Isn't that what it's called? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I always get nervous. You guys will tell me. But I do like this white one a lot. I thought that one was well done for Boulevard. You've got, if you're talking Brendan Vituski, this is based on his actual car, Firebird, that he owns, that he stripped all the paint, modified the engine. It's been a show car. It's been on magazine covers. That was the basic version. Then it moved, I think, to Boulevard. Only problem with this one is at the time they didn't have the wide rims, and so hopefully, maybe one day it gets released again with a little bit of a wider rim to balance it out a little bit better. So you have that one, and then kind of notes from the Knight Rider Firebird. We got this Firebird, obviously prior to the generation we're looking at in Boulevard, came from Brendan as well. I think he did that casting as well. But now we have very much a missing link in this generation of Firebird. Wonder if we'll see the Camaro as well. I'm so bad at this sometimes, and you guys will laugh at the mistakes I make with cars, but I own it. I'm proud of it. I learn it. I learn on, I may not have all my Fast and Furious down. I may not have my Need for Speed, more on that in a minute, down, but I do learn with cars, and it's a fun process. And if you want me to be the one who takes the brunt of the jokes while you learn it, totally cool. But if you already know what that's fine too. But I actually started looking up for the car show portion, Camaros. This is how many times I'm going to make this mistake. But this is a Firebird. It's a WS6 Firebird, which is done on 2 different generations of Camaros. As I learned, it was done on this one, and then one of what was late 70s, early 80s. It's an upgraded factory spec, right, for this one, and this one has this really cool spoiler. Again, the body style is not my favorite, but I sure have a new appreciation for this car, and I'm sure looking forward to adding more to the collection. Looks beautiful in orange. Saw some other nicknames. Oh, Catfish, right? But isn't that more associated with the Camaro's face, right? With the grill. So I saw several people call this the Catfish Firebird, but it is, correct me if I'm right, the Catfish is really more associated with the shape of the car plus the Camaro grill, right? But this one has the same shape. Really, really well done. I'm glad it has the chrome 5 spokes. It looks perfect. All right, let's get rid of all those Firebirds. Oh, I didn't even mention, I brought out the Matchbox too. The Matchbox Formula, Firebird Formula. Kind of a nice one. I just thought, yeah, I'm trying to put Firebirds together. That's what I had. That's what I had to work with from the Mattel brands. All right. Get rid of that. Okay, so there it is. Honestly, I think my favorite is this one. I think the one I'm most excited about, if that makes sense, if you can differentiate, is this one. All right, hope that put that together. All right, got all of those. Let's talk about this one. I've done BMW showcases and already pulled this one out, and obviously a few weeks ago. I've had this set for a while, but when I saw it was coming out, I decided to do it. I thought I'd be able to do this preview in January, but it's already coming out. So BMW M3 GTR. This casting is quite the different look from the original. This was in the 2-pack last year. It's a new model. You can vote on it in the Lamley Awards as we speak. Done obviously in a racing livery, which what this car was built for, right? But so obviously in the M livery, the racing livery looks really good. It has racing wheels on it, has a very, very cool look, and then all of a sudden it comes in this spec. And Ron Wong designed, he talked about it, and some of you were giving me grief for kind of beating around the bush a little bit and not mentioning the Need for Speed video game where this comes from. I guess I don't play video games. I never have outside of like Super Mario. So I don't know this very well, but I do know that this is iconic in that game. You had to get to a certain level to get it. You couldn't modify it, right? It had it had a certain blue and silver deco, kind of wavy deco. I've seen a billion pictures of it. I've seen people replicate it on their BMWs, do kits to replicate it. So I know it's a very famous car. And I know Ron, who's a video game player and a car-obsessed person, as we know. That's what you want from a Hot Wheels designer. He'll never say it because I don't think he can say it, but he gave us a wink on this one and said, take this blank canvas and do what you want with it. So he and Christina, who does the deco, they said he did this model, did it in an appropriate racing livery, and then said, the next version, let's make it what we want to make it. Christina went to work and built this beautiful, like street spec version of the M3 GTR. I myself, there's the art, like it like this. I know many of you will get the blue paintbrush out, so to speak, or the decals, and get to work on this one. Looks like it has a black roof. I don't know if it's supposed to be a kind of a carbon fiber, but the black 10 spokes with the silver trim, wide body. It just looks so cool, so menacing. Really has a different look. Just wildly different look, and I just love that about this one compared to the other one. I have an appreciation obviously for the race car, but being able to do this twice. Now, of course, that made me think, what's the next model that they should, that Hot Wheels should do if they can, going from this spec to this spec? There is only one that I know has to happen, and it's the Mercedes, right? I've seen this one done, at least tribute kits. What's the AMG C-Class Racer, right? That's what they have on this one. But seeing this one similar, like I think I saw pictures of a yellow one the other day on Instagram, plain yellow, like similar 10 spokes like we're seeing on the BMW. I would love to see a street version of this one if Mercedes and AMG would allow it. Don't think I already asked Ron about it. I did. He will always give me a vague answer, which he has to. But, you know, I asked. You can ask him too. There's cars that kind of fit that qualification of like the street legal. CLK GTR was obviously one of them. And I guess you'd have to remove the spoiler, but they have done the plain silver version of the CLK GTR. I thought that one obviously fits in, but that's more supercar range. This one has a different vibe to it. Kind of like fan kit with the BMW versus ultra rich Mercedes. I guess I can move this down. I thought this one might, I'm pulling out Mercedes. I don't have a BMW equivalent, but I've already done a BMW video. I thought that the 190E kind of fit, Evo, kind of fits somewhat in that, but I think they built this from the ground up for this version, and they have the racing version. I'd have to maybe have my stories mixed around. But the one, I haven't seen this in the store, that I think is probably the closest equivalent right now is the Alfa Romeo that was just released, right? We've obviously seen it in racing livery. This is the 155 V6 Ti, and done in a street version. Fits absolutely perfectly. And in fact, I would probably move these, put this like that, and I would put those two together. I think that looks really good. So there you go. All right, we did it. I think that's it. That's all 5 cars. Tell me which one you like the best. That's mine. But really smiling about this one as well. 4Runner's fabulous. Happy to see a Lil Red Express, and I'm, never going to complain about a new Z, so another Z. You guys tell me what you think. I want to know your thoughts on this mix. I think it's a pretty good one. If I had to grade it, I'd definitely grade it an A. Boulevard's been on it, and this one's really good. Thanks, everybody. Bye.